sorry. I'd beware. In the words, in the words of, in the words of Scar. I love that song. But we had right apart. Right from the start. You should beware, beware, beware of a woman with a broken heart. Oh no, that's not it. That was the remix. It was over. And then it was sky all black, looking at the stars like they finna talk back. Hate you, I hate you so much, cause girls only say I love you to the guys that they love. I know, I know, I know, they come, their lows, and comes, it goes. So you call, miss, text, whoa, spoke, lie, chill. He said, chill, still, months, still. I got somebody, baby mama, call it me daddy. Call me a cabbie. Hoes want the addy. Really, I hit answer. I hate when that happens. For the whole night, night. Loggins and Messina. Did I say Messina? I was so mad.
They just can't figure it out. But for Phoenix Rising, it comes down to one thing now: repetition. Job well done last week, but Rick Sean's coming out saying that it means nothing if you don't follow it up with a positive performance. This is an
absolute clinic. He torched the Las Vegas Lights FC defense. He had 2 goals. Both of them were just flat out individual efforts.
They need to continue to feed Jason Johnson too, because at the beginning of the season you asked me if I thought his performances were off, and I said no, he just carried a more of a supporting role. But as his confidence grows, so does his performance. You see him come out night in, night out and just get better each and every outing, and that's what we've seen over the past few matches. Continue to push the ball to JJ, let him go on his own.
He's got half a dozen goals this season. 2 of them came against Las Vegas Lights FC, as Phoenix Rising FC came away with a 4-0 win. Rick Shantz's first game in charge of 2018 ended with 3 points and a clean sheet. What will his second game hold? Tulsa Roughnecks are looking desperately for their first 3 wins. Phoenix trying to make sure they don't find it in their home stadium. Phoenix, Tulsa when we come back.
If you just sign that first
I'm
one
so
there.
sorry. I don't feel comfortable signing that.
I don't get the math here.
Was this the same car we talked about?
What's this dealer preparation fee?
I'm so sorry. This just is not.
What we talked about.
Get the car without the car salesman. Carvana, the new way to buy a car.
Phoenix Rising FC and Didier Drogba are turning up the intensity this season. Join the action at Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex in Scottsdale and experience Arizona's highest level professional soccer. Don't miss Dollar Beer Night and watch Phoenix Rising battle Orange County Friday, June 29th at 7:30 p.m. Get your tickets at phxrisingfc.com. Phoenix Rising FC. Rising is one.
At Showcase Honda, we want to show you the best. Let us show you our massive inventory of new Hondas, like the 2018 Honda Accord, 2018 North American Car of the Year, Honda Civic, or Honda CR-V. Or let us show you a certified pre-owned Honda, one of the best values on the road. And let us show you an unmatched sales and service experience. Only at Showcase Honda. Easy to find on Camelback Road just west of the 51. Online at showcasehonda.com. Get to the show today.
Almost set for kickoff here at Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex. Tyler Terrens along with ex-German pro Devin Curran. For more on Phoenix Rising FC and Jason Johnson, let's toss it down to the third member of our crew, Jose Bosch. Jose?
Thank you, guys. I know you've been talking about Jason Johnson, some of the special things he's been doing. I talked to him about Wednesday's game and just what was behind those goals. And true to form, he told me that he thanked his teammates for helping those goals happen. He specifically mentioned Chris Cortez and Solomon Asante, saying that the 2 of them are so dangerous that they pull away defenders and occupy him, allowing him to do what he does. And if you watch that first goal he scored last week, last Wednesday, you can tell those defenders were in a little bit of no man's land, having to choose between stepping up on Jason or watching out for a pass to either Solo or Chris Cortez. So watch out for that tonight, because let me tell you, for that Tulsa defense, it's a little bit of pick your poison when it comes to trying to stop the rising attack. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Jose. And we'll take a look at how David Vodril is going to try to line up and try to defend this potent Phoenix attack, which is currently leading the USL in the goal-scoring department with 30. And Devin, we talked about this off air. This lineup basically looks different every single week. They're desperately trying to find some sort of formation that's going to work for them.
He's used a different formation 5 games straight, 3-4-3, 4-1-4-1, 4-2-3-1, and yeah, they're just trying to put the pieces of the puzzle in the right direction, but they've got some talent. Joaquin Rivas, we've already highlighted. Paraski on the right side, sometimes he plays in the back, and those are all good pieces that you can use, but keep an eye on number 15, John Baccaro, coming back from the Chicago Fire, on loan there, on loan for the Tulsa Roughnecks with the Fire for a little bit. They need to take advantage of him being in there.
And for Phoenix Rising FC, we talked to Rick Shantz in between Las Vegas's game and tonight, and he basically just said, I see no reason to make a change because this crew has put together some phenomenal performances, especially on the defensive end, back-to-back clean sheets.
Sometimes when you get into this pattern of just destroying teams week in and week out, which they've done better in the past few weeks after that loss to Swope Park Rangers, you can slack off when you come up against the Tulsa Roughnecks squad. But look, remember, you're still only 2-4-1 all time, so hold your pride a little bit higher. Again, 2 back-to-back wins continue that pattern.
Well, Michael Ratchuk is our referee for tonight's match. He appears to be ready. The fans are certainly ready. Coming off of that terrific 4-0 performance against Las Vegas Lights FC on Dollar Beer Night right here at the Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex. And Rick Schatz looking to get win number 2 of the season in charge of the red and black, and we are officially underway. Tyler Terrence, Devin Kerr, thank you so much for joining us. And right off the bat, we have a foul, and Michael Ratchuk will get his first action of the evening. Solomon Asante taken down. Asante with a goal and some playmaking as well against Las Vegas. Now up to 6 goals and 6 assists on the season. Really the true mark of a great player is getting involved in both ends in the goal scoring department and assisting. And the good news for Phoenix Rising fans, as this free kick sent in, Chris Cortez trying to get ahead to it. And the good news is that San Antonio FC coming away with a 1-0 win at home at Toyota against Sacramento Republic. So that means with a win or a draw, Phoenix can potentially come away with sole possession of second place. And while it is only June 16th, we've certainly gotten to the point where the standings are becoming more and more real, and we're starting to see exactly what the playoff picture is going to look like in both the Western and Eastern Conference. And with the 3 points tonight, or perhaps a point, they can start to create some separation between themselves and the Quails, who they drew 2 games ago, 0-0, back at Papa Murphy's Park. And this Tulsa side, as we mentioned, 0-6-7 on the season. When these two teams last met a little more than a month ago, it was Phoenix coming away with a 5-0 win, 4 of those goals coming in the second half. Of course, Didier Drogba with the brace. He scored the first goal and the 4th goal, the 4th being a free kick that went straight up viral as he scored from about 35 to 40 yards out. Cody Wakasa getting his first professional goal in that game. Chris Cortez adding to the tally. And they're looking to replicate a similar performance, this time at home. Last time David Vaudreuil met Phoenix Rising FC in the desert, it was a 7-goal affair that ended up swinging 4-3 in Phoenix's favor. And it was just a wild contest with terrific goals left and right. It was a Juan Pablo Campa laser beam from about 25 yards out. Jason Johnson had a ridiculous goal from a tight angle. But a lot has changed since 2017, including the Tulsa roster, which has a lot of new faces, 17 to be exact. And they got absolutely ravaged in the offseason. So many players played extremely well, including one of Phoenix's own, Colin Fernandez. And as a result, a lot of teams in the United Soccer League decided to take advantage of some of the players who were available. Jason Johnson with some clever footwork, but his second touch was a heavy one. And a foul against JJ as the Jamaican guilty on that foul.
We talked about repetition in our opening comments, Tyler, and how Phoenix need to come out and do better, but how are you supposed to put together repetitive efforts for the Tulsa Roughnecks and David Vaudreuil when you have to deal with all those changes, the chemistry just all over the map, and it's so difficult to do. But at the same point in time, we've seen turnover at a lot of other squads in or around the USL, both Eastern and Western Conference, and they've found ways to get in and find results.
Well, there's just 2 teams who remain in the USL who have not found a win yet, believe it or not, on June 16th. Toronto FC 2, who currently only have 2 points to their name. Tulsa Roughnecks, on the other hand, they had a nice little streak in the middle of the season right before the Phoenix game where they went 5 unbeaten. Obviously, they didn't have any wins in that, as this one will get all the way to Carl Wazinski. Here's Gladson Owako. James Musa spraying it over for Wakasa, who's done extremely well since earning that right back position. And he has been the go-to starter as of late. It was Devontae DeBose to start out the season. Wakasa essentially willed himself into the spot. Lambert off the throw-in, good defensive play. Looked like from Mirkovic. A little bit of a miscue there from Wakasa, and off and running of the Tulsa Roughnecks. All slipped through, but easy work for Waz in the end, as it was intended for Yon Perez.
Good stuff by James Musa, stepping back as well, just letting the ball drift across his body. So John Picaro stepping in from the middle of the pitch, trying to push the pace a little bit and get him behind the back line, but play never really developed for him. There's no reason for Musa to dive in that situation. Just lets the play kind of fizzle out right in front of him.
While the Phoenix Rising win on Wednesday night against Las Vegas was great, and it was fantastic to see them get 3 points, there was one moment in particular, and it was after the first goal scored by Jason Johnson that really resonated with the entire Phoenix community, and just goes to show what's been going on, obviously, with Patrice Carteron leaving and moving on to Al Ahly in Egypt this week. After Jason Johnson scored, he brought everybody on the field right over to Rick Schantz to go celebrate with the interim head coach. And when we spoke to Coach Schantz about and what that moment meant and what exactly went down, he heard from his assistant Blair Gavin that as soon as Jason scored that they were coming over to him because he wasn't even looking at the field at that time. And Jason Johnson led the crew over to the coach and over to the technical area, and he embraced all of them, and he looked at every single one of them and said, "This is who we are." And in our previous broadcast on Wednesday, Devin, we talked about the word family and how much that was mentioned during the first address to the team for Rick Schantz when Patrice and the ownership left the locker room when they initially broke the news to the squad. And it was so great to see the entire Phoenix side embracing their interim head coach, because it's going to take a collective effort. It's going to take a buy-in if they are going to achieve their ultimate goal of winning the USL Cup with this sort of coaching change midseason.
The good news is that everybody has bought into this environment and situation from organization top to bottom, and you see it whether it's the PR department, training staff, obviously the players, as well as the fans, everybody just embracing the situation that they're in and looking at it as a positive turn in which someone who's been a part of their quote-unquote family for so long and now has an opportunity to kind of right the ship in the right direction, instead of looking back and saying, oh, what if this and what if that, and being a little bit malicious, we'll say, with regard to...
Here's the header and a goal. Excuse me, offside. Paraski was about a half a step off. It was a terrific ball sent in, and Waz was teased just enough to come off of his line.
Good overlapping run by Paraski, but like you said, just offside. Amadou Dian knew it right away as well, but going back to the family thing, and it's so positive that they continue that message, because when you have that environment and atmosphere around you, it's contagious and it will translate to your performances. And we've seen them slide in and out of games, but this is a situation where they got back on track after the Swope Park Rangers loss. They went out, they got a 3-1 victory on the road at St. Louis, and then concluded at Sac Republic against the Quails in the 0-0. And then they came out and put the whooping on Vegas. But now you need to continue that push. These are must-win games, these next 2 games. You're playing Tulsa at home, got to get 3 points. And then you go on the road to HEB Park and you play RGV. Got to get 3 points as well there, because after it, things start to get a little bit dicey and pick up a little bit. But most importantly, 3 points now, 3 points there. And again, I used that word before, but the stranglehold on the Western Conference has to be much more clear when you come up against squads like this.
Amadou Dia keeping it in play. Took a little bit of a knock from Adrian Jacinho. Good play from Lambert, making sure that the initial ball didn't get in, and then the Jamaican ends up winning it for Phoenix. Joe Farrell coming off of a goal in the game against Las Vegas Lights FC as well. And how nice would it be for Phoenix to get at least halfway consistent goal-scoring production from their center backs, whether it's Mike DeFont or Joseph Farrell, for a team that really struggles to score goals in general.
That's funny, because if you watch him, Mike not as much, but Joe likes coming out of the back. He likes getting involved. You see that offensive identity when he steps forward, and obviously has great leaping ability. He showed it last year, and now Coming over to the Phoenix Rising, doing a good job getting forward on set pieces. You would like to see some of that, like you said, Tyler, translate into open play, but at the same point in time, beggars can't necessarily be choosers. Got to be careful coming out of the back.
Well, not only the leaping ability for Joseph Farrell, but the placement on the header as well was absolutely spectacular. There was no chance for Ricardo Farinho to get there, and the placement had to be there because Farinho stood on his head. It easily could have been 7 or 8-0 if it wasn't for the Wiley keeper, who's sitting out tonight due to yellow card accumulation. Johnson. Great movement off the ball from Phoenix. Tulsa doing a good job to try to negate that movement and tracking runners.
It's really funny staying on the topic of Joe Farrell, thinking about him and how he likes to get forward so much and yet stuck in the back line for Bob Lillian, co-ed Rochester Rhinos. You gotta imagine Bob had more than a few words with him as he stepped out of the back.
Only on set pieces.
Yeah, of course.
Cortez can't get there. Jason Johnson was making a great run down the middle of the park. And now it's Paris Guy leading it the other way along for John Beccaro. 2017 Mac Herman winner, back for Guy. Mirkovic. Jacinho. Ball intended for Jason Johnson. Seconds will fall for Gladson Awako. Solomon Asante, great little sidestep. Johnson almost got the flick along for Cortez. That was a really interesting piece from Jose Bosch when he spoke with Jason Johnson after the Wednesday game, talking about how his teammates created that goal. And if you take it at surface value, those Jason Johnson goals were strictly created from his own skill, but it's great that he's able to recognize that the play from Solomon Asante and Chris Cortez lately has drawn a lot of attention to those two players and has freed up space for him, and we've been sort of waiting for when that space was going to start to pay dividends for the Jamaican, as Wakasa does a good job of keeping it in play for Asante. Awako through for Cortez, and broken up right at the last, but only as far as Amadou Dia.
I revert back to my conversation I referenced at the start of the broadcast that we talked about earlier this year, where I just said, when you posed the question to me of, was JJ out of form? I said, no, he's just carrying a supporting role, and he was in a little bit more of a distribution efforts and saw balls down into the channels, especially after Billy Forbes stepped out with injury, and JJ became a little bit more prevalent in the starting lineup. You saw him on the left, but even when he was come on as a substitute on the right-hand side, just trying to kick it into gear a little bit more as of recently, and like you said, things are ebbing and flowing for Phoenix Rising right now, where a little bit of pressure and space starts to come off of Asante and Cortez and goes towards Jason Johnson, and then it's going to come full circle and start to benefit them on the backside of things as well.
And round the Phoenix goal-scoring carousel will go. 30 on the season, that leads the United Soccer League. Solomon Asante with 6, Chris Cortez with 6, Jason Johnson with 6. You know, did we forget to mention that Didier Drogba, who's not currently with the team at the moment, also has a handful of goals. Joseph Farrell has 2. Mike DeFon has contributed 1. Cody Wakasa, I mean, such a collective effort week in and week out. Here's Awako in plenty of space. Nobody from Tulsa stepping to him just yet. Now it's Wakasa. Trying to bend it in. Cortez keeps it in with a great first touch. And just out of the reach of Jason Johnson. For a guy of Chris Cortez's size, I mean, we've seen some outstanding displays of technical ability recently. I mean, even that one play against Las Vegas, as Joseph Farrell is doing his best to try to win the ball back. Perez gets through the Pennsylvania native with the nutmeg and able to draw the foul as well. It's Pretty nifty work from the 25-year-old out of Montevideo.
John Perez, although not necessarily dominating the stat sheet, another one who carries a lot of technical capability down in the corner, one-on-one with Joe Farrell. Just forgot something there, Joe. We'll get it for you. And there's the footwork you were talking about, Tyler. And it's interesting because a player of his caliber, obviously you expect him to be very technically sound.
Ball whipped in, Cortez got ahead to it, and a corner kick coming up for Tulsa, the first of the evening for either team.
But a lot of guys who carry that big frame only really showcase that talent when they get into open space and they're kind of given the opportunity to run a little bit more with the ball at their feet or into channels. But Cortez, on the turn of a dime and in this tiniest little bit of spaces, is able to make something out of nothing on a regular basis too. Gives you a good representation of what he's like up top, whether he's playing in the 9 or 10, does such a great job.
Corner kicks brought to you by Carvana. This one looped in, Kavan Lambert gets there, but only as far as Mirkovic. Lofts it back in, and Waz just sees it run over the advertisement stanchions here. Fan Select is the official soccer ball of the USL. For the latest Select products and special offers, please visit selectsportamerica.com. Receive free shipping on orders over $50. Cortez was taken down, and Michael Ratchuk is going to have to stop play because the California native is prone.
Oh, Chris Cortez just timed it a little bit off, getting tangled up in the middle of the park with Jonathan Levin. Those are two big boys going at each other, and right away just landing flat. Probably had the wind knocked out of him in this situation, but obviously the training staff going to step in, just give him a once-over and make sure he's all right.
And Cortez, the warrior that he is, up on his feet is Steve Upham, making sure that the big number 9 doesn't have anything too serious as far as the head injury is concerned. Phoenix will go back to Fabian Serna. Tulsa on the move. Nice little up back through from David Vaudrill's side.
Good stuff by Asante stepping in as well. As you can see Cody Wakasa just coming out of the back a little bit, seeing the presence felt.
Baccaro, first time delivery, well played by Mike DeFont. As the former Wake Forest man, who as Devin mentioned, coming back from the Chicago Fire, and he has a ton of skill. Won the Mac Herman Trophy Award in 2017 in his time with the Demon Deacons. Mac Herman Trophy awarded to the best soccer player in the NCAA. This one looped over the head of Wakasa, but we kept in play. Morton able to get there. Mirkovic. Munoz. And Mike DeFont able to clear it. It's been menacing play from Tulsa as Chris Cortez slips on the surface here at Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex, and David Vaudrill's side certainly giving everything that the Rising can handle at the moment. Jacinho. Levin. Skipping around Lambert, still with it. Good interception from Amadou Diaz. Jason Johnson will pump the brakes. Asante, the skipper, finding Cody Wakasa. Asante nods it back for Wakasa, who was looking for delivery. Cut out by Morton. As we're into the 21st minute here in the desert. Asante, cleared away by Joaquin Rivas. James Musa coming back to collect. Phoenix going with a 4-back system tonight. We saw Patrice Carteron in the final stages of his tenure at Phoenix Rising FC start to move to a 3-back system. As Asante finding Chris Cortez. Cortez can't wiggle his way through. Carroll with a neat little flick, but Joseph Farrell was right on top of it. The deflection going the other way. The backfill intended for Rivas, just a bit behind him. It's a nice idea from John Perez. Levin. Long range effort. And it'll be just that, an effort.
Keep an eye on the referee here. I'd be surprised if he didn't go over and have a start talking to Joe Farrell for his challenge just a moment ago. We're 22 minutes into the match and haven't really seen a lot of physical play from anyone yet, but Joe Farrell getting stuck in right in the middle of the field. Murkovic very appreciative of the efforts by big center back Joe Farrell. Ugh.
Really? You're calling that out to be a foul?
That's what he gets for making him earlier. It wasn't Murkovic, but you forgive, you just don't forget.
It's a love tap in your book.
A hug. It's friendly.
Mike DeFont off balance, able to find Jason Johnson. The flag will stay down. JJ in for Cortez. Chris Cortez was trying to go back for Amadou Dia, but Jason Johnson got in the way. And the Phoenix Rising attack will stop there. Given away, Cortez back for a Wako, takes it on the first time. Pinballs around, back out for the Ghanaian. And his touch there, just letting him down a little bit. Here is Baccaro. Trying to slip it through for Rivas, and it'll go all the way back for Carl Wazinski. Ladies and gentlemen, Wednesday was a historic day for soccer in North America. Members of FIFA voted to award 2026 FIFA World Cup to the united bid of Canada, Mexico, and of course the United States. The World Cup will return to North America for the first time in 32 years and promises to be the biggest sporting event this world has ever known. Congratulations to the united bid. The FIFA World Cup is coming in 2026, and obviously World Cup 2018 in Russia well underway, and there will be a Phoenix Rising official watch party for Germany, Mexico tomorrow at the Brass Tap Gilbert. So Phoenix Rising FC fans, if you don't get your proper fix of football here tonight, although you can't imagine why. You can head over to the Brass Tap and watch a great match in the group stages with the local red and black supporters. What do you like in that game?
I mean, do I have to answer?
Mexico, right? You and Landon Donovan?
El Tree doesn't stand a chance in that game. I think El Tree and Switzerland are going to have their hands full tomorrow. Switzerland obviously taking on Brazil.
Can we bet a bottle of Arizona Gunslinger on it?
One? How about a case?
If I win, I get a case. If you win, you get one. I mean, those are the odds.
Doesn't seem very fair.
You're taking Germany, the heavy favorite, as Solomon Asante slips it through for Chris Cortez. Good challenge through for Gladson Awako. Gladson's first shot stopped by Cerda. Back out for Awako again, and it's blocked in front. Cortez waited just a little bit too long. And Asante lets it run through, and it could spark a counterattack the other way for Tulsa. Josh Morton. Baquero finding Mirkovic in the middle of the park. And Tulsa will slow things down as Phoenix do a good job of getting numbers behind the ball. That was a clever little ball that Kevon Lambert, amongst all the mess, was able to just chip it through. And a good save from Fabian Cerda at the end of the day.
Gladson Awako had 1, 2, 3 chances. Good looks as well, but coming out on the rebound, Chris Cortez having an opportunity to pick out JJ on the far post, just didn't pick his head up fast enough. The lane closed down. We like the perseverance from Phoenix Rising, but Tulsa definitely not shying away here this evening.
Jusinho's pass cut out by Joe Farrell.
I think I'd rather have the Crave Donuts.
The Crave Donuts?
Yeah. Or the pizza that they just came out with.
We put the Arizona Gunslinger on the donut?
On the pizza.
And the donut on the pizza.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, if you're going to watch the games tomorrow, it makes sense because you're doing breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's logical.
Especially with the time change in Russia. Now it's definitely relevant.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, is it not?
5 a.m.
Is that you telling me what time you're going to start tomorrow morning?
I'll be up at 5 to work out, yeah.
16-ounce curls?
Yep. There's James Musa. He's coming to my Mirkovic. A bit too touchy-feely for James Musa's liking.
Musa out of the back. A little bit too direct. Seconds will fall for Gladson Awako. Now it's Cortez. Oh, it's a great ball back. Now it's Asante in space on the right-hand side. Solomon Asante going to work. It's Asante, but it's over the bar. Well, whenever Solo gets an inch, especially around the area, everybody at the Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex gets out of their seat.
I like the look by James Musa early on to come out of the back and play that 40-yard ball. It really forces Tulsa to stretch the back and get reorganized. And as the ball comes back out, Cortez just starts moving it around, finds Solo on the far side. And Asante, we've seen him try this a couple times, trying to pick out that near post. Fabian Cerda, although having a rough year, dealing with all the goals against him, is still a very capable goalkeeper. Carries semantics similar to that of Ricardo Ferrigno, although maybe not as ostentatious at times, we'll say.
Great word.
Good goalkeeper nonetheless.
Here's Rivas. And that's not his best attempt at a pass, although it's good pressure. Wazinski coming off of his line. You saw that. Well, that just can't happen. Wazinski obviously upset, as it was John Perez impeding Wazinski from trying to distribute. And it is going to be mustard for Perez. Saw something similar in the UEFA Champions League final, but that was a bit more of the keeper's fault rather than anybody else's. But this time it's John Perez's fault, and he gets booked for it.
There's no reason for John Perez to do this. You can see the play's over. It's done with. Waz just stepping out and thinking he's going to be clever. He
Reaches out and grabs it too.
With his hand. It's an unnecessary yellow card, especially in the opening minutes of this game. That's something you look back on and you end up getting stuck in the 65th minute. Questionable tackle. Referee's going to brandish you a second yellow, and the next thing you know, your team's down to 10 men.
Well, this is the Tulsa side that leads the United Soccer League in red cards. You remember back to their game against Orange County where they had 2 red cards. And Francisco Ugarde was the most recent culprit of the red card brigade.
He grabbed his double yellow versus Los Dos. Back in the lineup tonight, though.
It's probably understandable that one of the teams that is without a win in the United Soccer League is leading that department. I'm sure a number of those have amounted out of frustration rather than anything.
Well, speaking of frustration, it shows you just how difficult it is for David Vaudreuil. As not only is Ugarte coming off suspension, but he's dealing with a pretty serious hamstring injury that they weren't sure if he was going to be even on the lineup card tonight, yet alone in the starting 11.
Dia onside, sends it across, but a little bit too quick as Solomon Asante and company were a little bit late arriving to the party. As we have reached the 31st minute, 0-0 between the Tulsa Roughnecks and Phoenix Rising Football Club. Tyler Terrens along with the incomparable Devin Kerr. So glad you can join us for a little Saturday evening action in the United Soccer League. This in Las Vegas Lights FC against Seattle Sounders 2. Last 2 games slated for this Saturday. Fresno will be playing tomorrow night as well. As Solomon Asante taken down and a free kick coming up for Phoenix. In a very similar area, although just on the opposite side of the field, in which Joseph Farrell scored his 2nd goal of the season on Wednesday night.
This is an area where the continued growth needs to show its face on a regular basis for Phoenix Rising. Have not been impressed with them for the most part in set pieces overall this year. Colin Fernandez taking them early on, and then a couple things getting involved there. Him not really putting together the best efforts, whether on set piece or service into the box. Asante stepping in. He's been doing better, but doesn't need to be the random runabout. Put something together from the practice field and make these guys guess a little bit as to what's coming into the box.
Asante, oh, it's a great ball in. The header from Cortez whizzes wide of the far post. But the delivery from Asante has just been on point ever since he's taken over those responsibilities. Fernandez dealing with that lower body injury.
This is exactly what you want to see from Solomon Asante. It's a great ball in, and you see all the big bodies trying to crash in on that back post. It's actually right around the back part of the 6. Cortez is in there. James Musa getting in on the fun.
It looked like there were a number of Phoenix players who could have gotten onto that. Marking from Tulsa wasn't exactly stout. As Awako gets it over for Jason Johnson, and now JJ's going to go to work. Makes 2 defenders from Tulsa run into each other. Cortez bending it in, and Fabian Serta breaking it up. After the quick distribution from Serta, Phoenix still have all of their numbers forward and camped out in the Tulsa defensive third.
If you take a look at what's gone on in the past 5 or 6 minutes as well, Rick Shantz recognizing the formation that Tulsa has stepped into here. We'll talk about that in a second, but it looks like Rick has pushed the guys back into a 3-back system with James Musa stepping back into the middle. Mike DeFont coming on the left. And Joe Farrell on the right, and he'll just push Dia and Wakasa up the pitch a little bit higher. There's just a lot of space readily available in the wings and channel play. Phoenix trying to isolate that and take advantage. And you've definitely seen better serve, not better, but we've seen more service, we'll say, out of the past couple minutes and drives going forward.
And that'll be Kevon Lambert playing that deep holding central midfielder role. And his pass for Amadou Dia, only to the hands of David Vaudreuil.
Come on, Donald, you can throw it!
This is a Tulsa side that has interesting to say the least. They were one of the worst teams in the United Soccer League in 2016. David Vaudreuil takes over, and they put together just a magnificent stretch of performances late in 2017, enough to get them over the line and into the playoffs. They end up falling to San Antonio FC in the first round, but the fact that David Vaudreuil was able to turn that ship around, a team that had a number of wins that you could count on one hand in 2016, get them to the playoffs in 2017, have virtually 2/3 of your starting 11 for the majority of the season picked up by other teams in the offseason. And now here they are without a win on June 16th. I mean, it's just been a roller coaster of a ride the past few years. And they have been able to put together some decent results. They have good draws against teams in the Western Conference. They had that stretch of 5 unbeaten, 5 draws albeit. But just finding that 3 points has become more and more of an issue as the season has gone on.
Well, you're seeing their capability here this evening, and obviously Phoenix has had the better run of play going forward, but Tulsa has shown a couple glimpses here and there that are up to the challenge. Check back to the last time that they played, Tulsa was in it. I mean, going into the second half, that was a 1-1 game. And you have to give them credit for being able to stay in the match and also kind of tracking back on the other side of the ball for Phoenix Rising, just meandering around the pitch a little bit. Came out, got that early goal, pulled off the accelerator, and then the controversial PK would enable them to then tie the match up, but still, David Vaudreuil still got a tough task at hand, and you would think eventually he's going to find something. Especially like you said, Tyler, with all those positive results, albeit not wins, still good showings.
Owako for Kavan Lambert. Oh, it's Solomon Asante floating out to the right wing for his compatriot Owako. Back for the captain, Asante. Delivery intended for Cortez. And over the head of the 6'5" striker. Fans, make sure to visit your Valley local supermarket and pick up a Phoenix Rising branded bottle of Arizona Gunslinger that you are allowed to put on donuts or pizza.
We gotta stop talking about food.
I'm getting real hungry.
Very hungry.
I think Sam can send us a box of pizza.
Talk to him after the game.
Here's Cortez from distance. And right up into the Bandidos.
Sam will get the pizza, Jose will get the donuts. We'll let Shantz bring the gunslinger. It's not a bad, that's a solid squad.
That's a solid, I hope we can eat them all with all the present.
Of course. Either that or we're gonna be on the outside looking in. Chris Cortez just drifting to the top a little bit. You can see a little bit of frustration by Phoenix going forward now. Things have cooled down between the two squads past 5 minutes or so. At the end of the day, this is the ultimate chess match, and things are constantly changing. Chris Cortez, as we've seen him before, just sliding back into that 10 spot where Gladson Owako likes to sit, but that space starts to open up right when you get into the top of the box as the center backs start to drift back a little bit further, and at the top of the 18, especially as the ball ping-pongs around like Phoenix Rising like to do so prevalently.
Mike DeFont. It's a great ball forward for Amadou Dia. Clemson man across for Jason Johnson. Cortez, what a save from Fabian Cerda. Barely got a foot to it, still with Phoenix. Asante, couple shakes and a shimmy, sends it across. Cortez, it's in the back of the net for Phoenix. Solomon Asante, the orchestrator. Chris Cortez, his 7th goal of the season. It's Phoenix with a 1-0 lead late in the first half.
Good ball movement from the Rising. We just talked about the lull in play from both squads. Phoenix kicking into high gear, and the ball starts on the left as it sprays in. You expect Jason Johnson to step on this. He lets it go. You wish you could hear the call. You have to imagine Chris Cortez says something over the shoulder to allow him to get this first strike off. And then, who do you expect? Solo Dolo, Solomon Asante gets it right at his feet. And earlier on, from a defensive standpoint, he gets into the isolated situation. Solomon takes the touch, very similarly and has a crack on goal. Instead, the guy goes to the ground, Solo cuts it back across, and it's just super smart by Rising to continue to push forward and get that opening goal.
The deftest of touches from Chris Cortez. Sometimes it's not about power, but rather about placement. And Rick Schantz and his side have placed themselves a goal ahead of Tulsa Roughnecks in the 39th minute. Well, JJ's goal on Wednesday night came in the 32nd, and while it may take a little while for this Phoenix team to get going, especially with 3 games in a week, they certainly have not disappointed over the past few games. Goal number 7 on the season for Cortez, assist number 7 for Asante. And those two have just proved to be a lethal duo. And now a foul against Mike Defon and against Phoenix, as John Perez is taken down, and now a precarious set piece for Tulsa. As we're into the last 5 minutes of the first half.
This is a very dicey and dangerous situation for Phoenix Rising. Joaquin Rivas coming over right away. Haven't seen a lot of him here in the first half. A little bit more Baquero, but just a good look at the foul. Mike Defon getting that in the rule book. You're not allowed to use your hands in that manner. It's okay. Let him know. But Rivas has a big left foot. You would think, being isolated so much, that he would have a crack. Not really showing that from this distance he's going to put power behind this.
Rivas just dinks it in. Won by Kavan Lambert. Awako trying to find Asante. Gets away with a little shove. Now skips away from Rivas. And now back over for Jason Johnson. And he cannot keep it in play. Sometimes Phoenix are just almost too quick for their own good going forward.
Well, how often do we see Solomon step from the right all the way over to the left? That was great to see interchanging play from Jason Johnson, recognizing it as well. Great back heel from Awako, and JJ made his way all the way to the other side of the pitch. I didn't realize it was possible for a ball to get past him. He never is able to be outrun.
Awako. Asante. Amadou Dia. Jason Johnson! You've got to be kidding me! An otherworldly goal from JJ. This Phoenix team is must-see TV. It's 2-0 to the home side, and Jason Johnson needs to take a bow.
You can't really say it better than Tyler Terrence, ladies and gentlemen. Must-see TV. Transitional play all night long, starting to pay dividends. Jason Johnson had just gone from the right side of the pitch, hadn't even made his way all the way back to the left yet, and finds himself somewhat alone. You can't say all alone, because his absolute spatial awareness of what was going on around him and his ability to just throw his body in harm's way, contorting in the right manner, with the fullest of volleys you will ever see.
And if the reaction from Michael Radchuk didn't say it enough, even he couldn't help but smile and have a joke with Jason Johnson as he shows the Jamaican mustard for, I guess we could call it excessive celebration, but even taking the shirt off in that moment isn't enough celebration for a goal of that caliber.
It's one of those ones where even if you're on the other team, as frustrating as it is, especially with the momentum that Phoenix is building now, you just kind of look and give a little golf clap on your own. That was something special. Brilliant from the Reggae Boy.
Where do we go from here?
Pizza. Pizza and donuts.
Jason Johnson's buying, I'll tell you that.
It's the good response, though, because that's what we haven't seen out of Phoenix in the past. When they start to get that momentum, especially against lesser squads. I mean, they just last time we referenced it when they played Tulsa, came out, got that goal, and just kind of slowed down a little bit. things eased off right around the 30-minute mark or so, and right to the 35th, it was just a lull in play. And since then, Phoenix has really turned on the afterburners. You've seen guys starting to express themselves a little bit more clearly, going forward and coming back. Good job throwing their weight around when necessary, making their presence felt, letting Tulsa know that they're here every step of the way. And then again, going forward, it's just been absolutely brilliant to watch.
Kevon Lambert wins it back. Tried to get it through for Owako and finally cleared away by Tulsa. And quite honestly, this Tulsa team just looks out of sorts. They look stunned, they look shell-shocked after those 2 goals from Phoenix. Perhaps the home side are looking for a third. Johnson. A little bit of a miscue there for Mike DeFont. Beccaro comes away with it. Trouble for Phoenix. Beccaro saved by Waz. And a nasty challenge right at the last there, as the 4th official will show 2 minutes here in the first half. And Cody Wakasa took an absolute knock trying to make sure the rebound didn't fall to a player in a white jersey. And a second yellow. And it is going to be a red card for Tulsa. And it's John Perez who's been sent off. It's the 6th red card this Tulsa team has seen this year. And when it rains, it pours for the Roughnecks. We'll get another look at how it all happened.
John Beccaro just in cruise control moments ago and then drops it into third, really picks up the speed. And this is a poor finish from Beccaro because you see he has space on the far post. He has the opportunity to get in behind Waz and make the... Just getting a look there. And make the comeback start to come back around. But then again, I said it earlier on, John Perez, no reason whatsoever to tangle with Carl Wazinski, grabbing that yellow card in the 30th minute. Time and time again, we've seen it come back to haunt Tulsa Roughnecks, and in the 45th minute, he's gonna grab a second yellow and be thrown out, and that's just silly. It's hard enough that David Vaudrell has to figure out exactly what combination is gonna work on the pitch. It's even worse when you have to do it with less personnel than you expected.
So what could have been a huge goal for Tulsa right before the break as Cody Wakasa gets to his feet. To a nice round of applause here at the Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex. What could have been a goal for Tulsa cutting into the lead and really negating the Jason Johnson goal ends up turning it to a man-down situation for David Vaudrell's side. This team just cannot catch a break at the own moment, but it's even more than catching a break. They're getting in their own way. And it's a big reason why they haven't been able to find a win, and it's June 16th.
And you can't make excuses for any one singular player, but you might expect, you don't want it to happen, but you could maybe see that happening with someone who's 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. But you're talking about a guy who's 25 years old, Defensor Sporting, Chelsea Youth Academy. These are things that they ingrain in you as a young professional, and unfortunately he just didn't carry it over into this environment, and his team's going to suffer for 45 minutes and beyond.
What a turn of events. Jason Johnson with a clear-cut nominee for USL Goal of the Season. He'll have to rival with one of his teammates, Didier Drogba, for his free kick against Tulsa. That one was at One Oak several weeks ago. And John Perez getting sent off just moments ago. And just like that, barring a comeback of all comebacks, as we head closer and closer to the halftime whistle, could basically write this one off. Joaquin Rivas, however, has other thoughts. Back out the shot. Wazinski can see it go wide. As we're into the 49th minute of stoppage time, and on cue, Michael Radchuk brings this wild, wild first half to an end. Jason Johnson with a goal that is seared into the brains of everyone here at the Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex, including Tulsa, but for a completely different reason. His 7th goal this season. Devin Kerr, your thoughts on the first 45 minutes?
impressive from Phoenix Rising. It's really the first time this season that we've seen them impose their will on a team right after something great just happened, and that's good to see from the boys. You want to see them continue their transposition of play into the second half and push into another level. Again, you saw Tulsa with a little bit of a response. Now the red card comes in. Here's your opportunity to seize your moment.
Well, it's all good news for Phoenix. You can't necessarily say the same for Tulsa. Cortez and Jason Johnson, the goal scorers, they were 3 minutes apart, and Jason Johnson's goal will be replayed all over the internet. Phoenix 2, Tulsa 0 as we head to halftime.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Yo soy el Dr. José Francisco Carrasco de Happy Kids Pediatrics. Para nosotros, sinceramente, lo más importante es la salud y el bienestar de sus niños.
Happy Kids Pediatrics son clínicas especializadas en pediatría enfocadas en la salud y el bienestar de los niños con localidades cómodas, limpias y cercanas a usted. Podrá ver al mismo proveedor médico constantemente. Aceptamos access, aseguranzas privadas y precios especiales para pacientes sin seguro médico. Happy Kids Pediatrics, sirviendo a la comunidad hispana por más de 18 años.
If you just sign that first
I'm
one
so
there.
sorry. I don't feel comfortable signing that.
I don't get the math here.
Was this the same car we talked about?
What's this dealer preparation fee?
I'm so sorry. This just is not.
What we talked about.
Get the car without the car sales.
It's Arizona's highest level professional soccer. Don't miss Dollar Beer Night and watch Phoenix Rising battle Orange County Friday, June 29th at 7:30 p.m. Get your tickets at phxrisingfc.com. Phoenix Rising FC. Rising is one. Back here at the Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex, and if you're just joining us, I truly feel sorry for you. Phoenix with a 2-0 lead over the Tulsa Roughnecks, and Jason Johnson with an all-world goal just 3 minutes after Chris Cortez got the party started in the 39th minute, and this Phoenix Rising side is off and running. Tulsa Roughnecks, who do not have a win on the season, continue their strugglesome ways. And Phoenix Rising FC's next match is going to be against RGV, and that will be on the road at HEB Park. June 25th, 5:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time kickoff. Do not miss it. Myself, along with Devin Kerr, will be on the call as Phoenix look to continue this phenomenal run of form. Solomon Asante, Jason Johnson, and Chris Cortez have been playing some football that is just out of this world, and you're not going to want to miss this next one. And you will be able to catch it on Your View Arizona, as well as on Fox Sports 9:10 a.m. in the Phoenix area, and then on ESPN Plus as well. This Phoenix side taking on an RGV team who's starting to string together some results. A little bit of a rough go about it against OKC Energy FC. But we're going to step aside for a moment and get a look at some of the behind-the-scenes action in USL Productions. Let's take a look.
We came here with a unique challenge, and that was to solve the problem of producing over 500 games and do so in a cost-effective way for the clubs, in a way that produced high-quality broadcasts and standardize the look and feel of all of those productions. Outside of the live event, the match experience, outside of that, the broadcast is the window into the brand for the club and for the league. We need to be able to capture that in a compelling way with a quality broadcast.
A large portion of the teams work with our partner Vista on REMI Productions, remote integration. What that means is that the production of the game is actually handled mostly away from site. So the way these games work is a truck will show up locally at the stadium. There'll be 4 camera operators there, and those signals are sent all the way here to Fort Lauderdale. And here locally at Vista, the game is cut. The game has graphics put on top of it. Replay is done here, and in many cases, the play-by-play is actually done on site here at Vista as well. So after the game is fully produced, we have a signal that goes to our partner ESPN Plus for US distribution. We have a signal that goes to YouTube for international distribution. And then for the teams that have an over-the-air local broadcast regional sports network deal, the signal is sent to their partners as well. So even for the games that aren't done with a Remy production, all games flow through Vista, and all those signals have to get sent out all over the world to reach the fans of USL. Because of those Remy productions, we'll oftentimes have 5 or 6 games going on at one time. Nobody is doing sports Remy productions on this level consistently.
We have built one of the largest Remy production models of any league in the world. And now we're able to deliver anywhere in the world to our partners at ESPN, fully produced matches from all over the country. We couldn't be more thrilled with the progress we've made and some of the innovative things now we're going to be able to start to bring into the broadcast moving forward.
Great stuff from Jake Edwards, Brad Baker, and company. Phoenix still with a 2-0 lead over the Tulsa Roughnecks, which means it is still halftime, and myself, along with the incomparable Devin Kerr, still your broadcasters, unfortunately, and we'll get a look at what's been going on in the United Soccer League as of late. And USL just continue to break records left and right. 1 million in attendance, a full month ahead of where they reached that mark in 2017, which was a record in itself. Of course, Rick Schantz, interim head coach for Phoenix Rising FC. And the U.S. Open Cup continues to heat up. Louisville hosting Nashville. And Sacramento is going to have to head to California Stadium to take on LAFC in their inaugural run in the U.S. Open Cup. Devin, how do we feel about this Louisville-Nashville match?
The match in general is going to be interesting because we've seen them both play to a 2-0 win at home. Whoever had the home shot were able to get a victory, but I'm curious to see. I'm already a step ahead. I want to know who they're going to play because there's so many good teams left. I mean, tonight we have one of the games, Sporting KC and FC Dallas, who are respectively 1 and 2 in the Western Conference of MLS. They're playing each other. It was 1-1 at half. I'm sure it's gone final. Haven't seen the scoreline yet. And you've also got Atlanta United and Chicago Fire who are going to play on Wednesday. So some really good squads left. But you hope to see Sacramento and at least one of those guys move on past into the Final Four. But I don't know. I guess only time will tell.
Well, speaking of good squads, we'll take a look at the best squad, the best 11 in the USL in the previous week in the United Soccer League. And we do have some familiar faces up here, none that were featured in this game particular right now, but Joey Calistri taking down Tulsa, 2 goals and an assist. He was able to get player of the week for his performance. Forrest Lasso, just probably one of the scariest defenders in the United Soccer League. He's getting the nod as well. Rainish had a fantastic game for Fresno last week. Evio Cordovez trying to get the Richmond Kickers jump-started in the midway point of 2018. Matt Watson, Devin Kerr's one of your favorite players in the USL. I think that's fair.
It's my boy. I love Matt Watson. He's great, man. Good guy all around, solid player. Just a good representation of the holding midfielder spot.
And Chase Minter finally getting involved with the Swope Park Rangers and competing at the level that we know he can compete at. And the Western Conference schedule for next week is going to look like this. T2 hosting Colorado Springs. Kyle Rainish and Fresno FC playing host to the 2-time reigning Western Conference champions in the Swope Park Rangers. RGV will welcome Phoenix Rising Football Club to HEB Park for the first time this season. And Sacramento, Papa Murphy's Park, will see Joey Calistri and company invade, trying to continue their decent run of form after a little bit of a rocky start to 2018. As we are moving right along the halftime show, Phoenix with a 2-0 lead. Jason Johnson with one of the best goals that you'll see all day, if not all year in the USL. Tulsa, down a man, in trouble.
If you just sign that first
I'm
one
so
there.
sorry. I don't feel comfortable signing that.
I don't get the math here.
Was this the same car we talked about?
What's this dealer preparation fee?
I'm so sorry. This just is not.
What we talked about.
Get the car without the car salesman. Carvana, the new way to buy a car.
Worried about your kids' health care? Sick of doctor's offices with no appointments available? Let Happy Kids Pediatrics help. Our hand-picked staff is carefully cultivated to provide professional and compassionate care when your child needs it. Plus, we happily accept access, private insurance, and even offer special pricing for patients with no health insurance. With over 18 years providing quality health care to Valley children in our convenient Valley-wide locations, you can trust your child's health care to Happy Kids Pediatrics.
Visit Pruitt's for Memorial Day savings all month long. Find furniture you'll love at prices you can't beat. Like these rocker recliners, your choice of color, just $199. Or this casual 3-piece chaise sectional, yours for $549. Visit Pruitt's for the lowest prices and best selection at Alma School and Ray or Thomas Road and 34th Street. Pruitt's, proudly serving the Valley for over 65 years.
Almost set for the second half here at the Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex, and if it was anything like the first half in terms of the quality of goals, well, you are all in for a treat. Tyler Terrence along with the incomparable Devin Kerr, and we'll take a look at the first 45 minutes. In the first half hour or so, Devin, Phoenix knocking on the door, kind of similar to what we saw against Las Vegas Lights FC, and it wasn't until the 39th minute that the party really started to get going.
The best effort all night so far, like you said, Tyler, opening 30 minutes, was this good ball in by Asante, and they just try and throw the big bodies into the box. Right into the mixer, make something happen. But the first goal comes right here. It's good perseverance by Cortez. It's left by Johnson. He hits the first one, but as it comes back around, how about the composure? Come on, just plays the ball to Asante, and again, just uses poor Tulsa on the left side of the pitch. You can see Joshua Morton just getting strung out there. Again, he played the little game with Asante a few moments before. Asante went for goal. This time goes for glory and plays the ball back unselfishly. Cortez finishes it off.
And Solomon Asante just with an outstanding assist, able to create just enough space. Rick Schantz says he doesn't see anybody in the USL, or he hasn't coached anybody that changes directions like Solomon Asante. And then how about this? 3 minutes later, JJ with potentially the goal of the season. Ridiculous.
I said at the top of the broadcast, when he has this good run of form, continue to feed him, give him the ball, build his confidence. Feeding the Jamaican is one thing. That was just absolutely juicy. Naughty finish. And then you weigh in the other way. It was a good response from Tulsa. John Baccaro gets in alone, goes in one-on-one. Should have done better in that situation. From a pro like that, you expect him to have a better performance, and this is just a poor finish. Could have gone near post, could have gone far post. Great save from Waz either way, and it's just sloppy play coming down the stretch from John Perez. Said he got that yellow card earlier, could come back to haunt him. Sure enough did. 10 men in the final 45.
So John Perez with a yellow card in the 30th, and then gets his second yellow card in the first minute of stoppage time in the first half. And just like that, when Tulsa had an opportunity to cut the deficit in half after just going down 2-0, they missed the breakaway opportunity. Perez gets sent off, and Phoenix Rising FC, it's all smiles heading into the dressing room for Rick Shantz's side. And take a look at the stats from the first 45 minutes. Very efficient from Phoenix. Not much to write home about if you're Tulsa, and it could get much worse in the second half.
They love the fact that their goal differential is slowly making its way up, and they've been hovering right around 2 or 3 behind, but right now sitting at plus 17. That's best in the USL. It's going to be 32 goals overall, 252 shots. That's efficiency.
It's a lot of shots.
That's a lot of shots.
I don't think Lil John can handle that amount of shots, but either way, Phoenix Rising FC absolutely all over the Tulsa Roughnecks in the first half. And, you know, with Tulsa going down a man and with the Jason Johnson goal, I mean, is there any hope at all for David Vaudreuil's side going into the second half? Is it just a matter of trying to limit the damage? I mean, what's the message going into the locker room after you finish off the second half, basically in 6 minutes, the game got away from you.
It's quite unfortunate because you looked at this game coming in and they had an opportunity to change things up and maybe get a little bit of revenge. Again, that all-time series still sitting in their favor. So I thought maybe they could come in, put something together special, and then use that momentum, go to Orange County Soccer Club next week and get a result. Because after that, for them, it levels off a little bit. They're dealing with Los Dos and Las Vegas, so maybe a 3 or 4 game stretch where they could kind of get right back on the right tracks. But it just went from bad to worse very rapidly for Tulsa Roughnecks, and now you have to figure out how do you get back there. That's difficult to say, especially when you got a team like Phoenix Rising who can not do anything wrong for the most part. We've seen some isolated incidents in the back line, as we have in other games for sure, so keep an eye on John Baccaro, and they'll look to use his speed to stretch the pace a little bit and get him in alone one-on-one. But again, you're dealing with 10 men. Those situations are going to be few and far between.
Well, the last 135 minutes of soccer for Phoenix Rising has seen 6 goals and 0 conceded. And even going back to the Sacramento game where they kept a clean sheet against Sacramento. I mean, it's just, they have just been in some type of form and feeling some type of way. And especially with the departure of Patrice Carteron, to keep up this form, I mean, just speaks volumes about the focus, the concentration, the determination of this Phoenix Rising FC family, because it very much is that, as we have heard from so many different people around the Phoenix Rising camp. And it's just been a pleasure to watch. And if you're Tulsa, sort of ran into a giant who's currently on a warpath. For you, Devin, and I'm sure a lot of Phoenix fans will be talking about this post-mortem tomorrow. Which goal is better so far this season? The Didier Drogba free kick against Tulsa, or the Jason Johnson wonder scissor kick against Tulsa?
You can't take anything away from Didier's efforts, but it's definitely Jason Johnson's. If you look at it analytically from start to finish, his ability to not only make the run coming across the box, but then throw his body in the air and get his foot behind it and pick out that near post. I mean, when you bring your foot like that, you're already coming across it. 9 times out of 10, that's going over the bar, or that's going past the far post, and he's able to connect, which means he locked ankles and hit that thing dead on and just put it right on the near post. The difficulty meter is way above a 10. You're talking about a 12 or 15 on a scale of 10, and even if you asked him to replicate that with no runners around him in practice, he probably couldn't do 2 or 3 out of 10.
So you're marking it down, June 16, Jason Johnson against Tulsa, USL goal of the season?
For me, that is right now. There's nothing else that challenges him at all. Especially, again, when you look at all the moving parts that were in it and just the stars aligning, but his ability to still step into between in that little spot and make the most of his opportunity, very difficult to do so.
Well, that goal came just 3 minutes after Chris Cortez's. That was assisted by Solomon Asante. Credit Amadou Dia with an outstanding ball setting up the Jason Johnson goal. Johnson able to cut it out and remain with Tulsa. And if you're Phoenix, you know, you're up a man, you're up 2 goals, but you did have 3 games in a week, and you've used the same starting 11 for the past 4 matches. Do you continue to flex your muscles, continue to go forward and pump as many in as possible, or maybe if you get a 3rd, can you start to lay off a little bit and try to save your legs and save some minutes?
It goes a couple different directions. Number one, was really curious to see how Shantz was going to handle this situation and opportunity. The first one being a statement that he came out and did put out the same starting 11. So right away he said, we're here, we're going to contend, and we're going to show you what we're made of. And that's a great example that he wants to put forth to the fans in this organization. But number 2 on the back end of that, Tyler, yeah, don't be surprised if right around the 55th to 60th minute mark, you see a little extra movement on the sideline, because over the course of the night, you're going to see him use all 3 subs and get these guys another run in. Maybe an appearance by Regi. Waldrop has been a favor as of late.
Here's Rivas on the back post, whips it across. But just wasn't in the neighborhood for one of his teammates to be able to knock it home. Thought for a moment Rivas was going to try to put that on frame himself.
Obviously, Kavan Frater coming back into form as well. They're trying to move him and get a little bit of rust and kinks out of his performance.
Jason Johnson bends it into the path of Solomon Asante. Captain Solo, long for Awako. Back for Asante, back into the box, Awako's header. Handled cleanly by Fabian Cerda. Not many times we get to say Awako and header in the same sentence.
It's funny to think about Glatz and Awako playing in the 10 role, and more often than not, those guys will have at least a few goals on the year, but Glatz and Awako does such a good job just supporting his teammates up and down the pitch. The characters that we have up top in Chris Cortez and Solomon Asante and Jason Johnson, obviously Didier Drogba as well, who's not here this evening, but they do such a good job of providing all the highlight reel type stuff for everybody on the pitch. And Awako has no problem taking a back seat to that, but the touches and pieces that he helps field down this pitch on a regular basis unfortunately go unnoticed at times, and you really have to remember what an integral piece he is to this squad.
Johnson, same page with Cortez, but the former VC Ram with great hustle to be able to at least challenge it. It will be a goal kick for Fabian Cerda at the end of the day. And we do have our first substitution of the night for David Vaudreuil, and it's going to be the youngster, the 19-year-old Brandon Servania, coming on and replacing Ivan Mirkovic. And the substitute brought to you by Capriati Sandwich Shop, fanatically delicious subs. Servania actually played with one of his comrades who's out on the field right now, John Beccaro at Wake Forest University, in Beccaro's Mac Herman Trophy campaign season in 2017. Servania, however, elected to sign a homegrown contract with FC Dallas after his freshman year, after being named the ACC Freshman of the Year in 2017. As Asante's delivery denied, and a corner kick coming up for Rick Shantz's side.
Another special talent that Tulsa need to keep an eye on and see if they can utilize him on a regular basis. Reached out to the organization and asked how long he was going to be here, and they said that, you know, only time would tell, but that it's obviously special. As you said, Tyler, going to Wake Forest the 1 year and then signing the homegrown contract with FC Dallas. They loan him to Tulsa, and he debuts 1 day after, fortunately in a game versus San Antonio Football Club that just got away from them a little bit.
Play from Cody Wakasa. That's an Awako wrapped up. But Joaquin Rivas sprung the other way. Joseph Farrell retreating, as is Mike DeFont. Rivas over for Servania, but it's out of play. Fans, remember the USL's official Twitter feed keeps you up to date with news, live game updates, and highlights from around the league 24/7, 366 days a year. Follow @USL on Twitter so you make sure you don't miss goals like Jason Johnson's in the 42nd minute.
as expected. Phoenix already hovering around 70% possession here in the second half. It's going to be a long night, frustrating for the Roughnecks, but obviously when the decisions aren't the best.
Asante for Kavan Lambert. Cerda is there, he spills it. Obviously unable to pick it up, still dancing with it, doing his best Ricardo Ferrigno impression. And it's not a half bad one.
I told you he was capable of it. Saw it coming.
I don't think he necessarily has the green light that Ricardo Ferrigno has.
I think Solomon Asante is a little frustrated that he got turned around by a goalkeeper. It's one of those ones where when the first cut just happens, you just walk like you hurt yourself and just keep walking. And
I'll get it.
Oh, yeah, sorry, my bad. Well, I heard something over here.
You ever get turned around by a keeper?
Never.
I don't believe you.
I actually don't think I have. I played with a kid growing up who was a special talent. He always loved coming out of the back. He had heart failure when he did so.
Speaking of special talent, Asante's shot tipped over the bar by Cerda. And I have a feeling we'll see more Cerda saves to come with Phoenix up a man and firing on all cylinders.
Super Solomon just continuing to make an absolute meal out of Joshua Morton. That's the third or fourth time that the left back has been exposed by Solo. This is exactly what you want to see out of Phoenix Rising. Time and time, just keep pushing one after another. Again, it's only the 57th minute. There is a lot left in this match.
Asante. And a dangerous play there. Like Levin went down. Indeed it is. 25-year-old from Mexico City.
Referee's going to give Chris Cortez a yellow card here. So Cortez, when this was Musa, excuse me. So Cortez coming back into the picture.
And it is going to be a yellow card for Musa. Check that, actually, Levin. Recently turning 26 years old. Celebrated the big 2-6 on May 6th.
You have to wonder why in that situation. You can hear the guys in the background asking where Musa's just coming across his body. They're both challenging the ball. Doesn't go studs up. Haven't had any infractions from James Musa all night long. And then the 58th minute of the game, he's going to brandish him a yellow card.
Now Jason Johnson and James Musa on yellow cards. Johnson receiving one for removing his jersey after a goal that was halfway decent. The win tonight, Phoenix will make it 5 in a row unbeaten. And they'll make it 4 wins in their last 5 games. Devin, if we remember back to 2017 when they won that historic run of 11 matches unbeaten under Patrice Carteron, that came after back-to-back losses. Not exactly saying that that's on the horizon for this side, but given their form and given everybody buying in to what Rick Schantz is offering and just the sense around the Phoenix camp right now and some of their upcoming fixtures, it's not crazy to think that they might be able to rattle something like that off and start to create some separation between themselves, Sacramento, and possibly even the Real Monarchs if they catch them.
The biggest difference, if you look at the squad overall between this year and last year, forget the personnel for a second, is kind of resonated from a conversation we had with Rick, and he said to us the difference kind of tactically of what they're employing in the services from the boys this year. And I said, you know, you've changed a lot of formations, and this was before the departure of Patrice Carteron. I said, you guys moved a lot of things around. Are you going to do things the same, or we switch it up?
Awaka was going over the top for Johnson, who got tangled up. And it is going to be a free kick for Phoenix. Solomon Asante has already buried one this year.
We'll come back to that in a minute. Francisco Ugarte just getting tangled up a little bit here. It's a good ball in behind. Jason Johnson just getting ahead of him a little bit. And it's unfortunate because Jason steps in front and almost tangles himself up. And then they clash again. Their heels just clicking together a little bit.
There's no place like home.
I was going to go that direction, but felt bad. Stars just
weren't quick enough.
It's not that the Stars aren't even aligning for Tulsa. They're just in another universe this season, unfortunately. Always goes back to something that Mike Jeffrey said, head coach of the Charlotte Independents, that even when you're playing well and you're holding possession and everything looks good for you, you still need a little bit of lady luck. He'll push you to that next level. They definitely have not any in their corner this year.
Asante and Cortez standing on top of it. This one probably suits a lefty a little bit better than a righty, Cortez being the former of those two.
There's a good look at exactly how difficult it is for a right footer to get that ball around to the near post. Cortez definitely looking more determined in this environment.
Cortez, oh, it's not a bad effort at all, and Fabian Cerda with a sprawling save to keep it a 2-goal game.
I told you he was capable of this. Forget the exploits for a minute. He does such a good job contorting his body and stretching all the way out right in the top corner. Cortez definitely picked out the upper corner, and he had one for himself.
Asante all the way towards the back post, nodded back in, and it's Cerda, who again might have gotten a touch to it.
Chilean asking to help out once again. Cortez doing a good job, gets enough power. That's such a difficult thing to do. The ball's curling back to him, but to be able to get that amount of power as your body's moving away from the ball and push it in that direction. Good job by the goalkeeper. Probably going over the bar, but better safe than sorry.
And he's adding to the save total on the night. I'll tell you what, Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex over the past game and 2/3 between Vegas and now has seen some world-class keeping as Asante sends this towards the near post. Now here's a Wako in his effort nowhere near the frame, and Fabian Cerda and the Tulsa back line can finally take a deep breath.
Prior to Phoenix Rising pushing forward and trying to get a third one on the scoreboard. Go back to Rick Johnson, the conversation we had with him, and when I was asking him about all those changes and movements, he said may have been a little bit too predictable last year and one-dimensional. So this year we've changed formation so that not only are we able to react appropriately against other squads, but that other squads don't know how to react to us. So they're able to play in the 3-back system, in the 4-back system, 2 in the middle, 5 in the middle, whatever it may be.
Cerda, he's up to his tricks again. And not sure whether that was on purpose or not, but either way, Phoenix with a corner. And more theatrics from the keeper, who has really kept this game within striking distance for Tulsa. And Solomon Asante maybe trying to be a bit too cute with it. And it looks like Evan Waldrop is getting ready to go as he's making a cameo at the bottom of your screen. Carroll unable to latch on to the latter half of a give and go.
Rick Shantz is going to give Evan Waldrop a run. You would imagine he's probably going to bring out Von Lambert. I'd be shocked if he brought out James Musa. Von Lambert a little bit quiet here this evening. That's not the worst thing from your holding midfielder, though. Seen him push forward and help out a little bit. Touch and go, but good job defensively here this evening. And it is going to be James Musa. Shocked.
Musa, who was on a yellow card. Coming off, he played in that role as the holding central midfielder, and then when they switched to a 3-back formation, slotted in as one of the 3 center backs. And the substitute brought to you by Capriati's Sandwich Shop. Fanatically delicious subs, and the 21-year-old onto the scene yet again for Phoenix Rising. Spent his first 2 years of college ball as a Creighton Blue Jay, and then headed over to Grand Canyon University and signed with Phoenix through a tryout during the preseason. Had some solid showings during the Mobile Mini Sun Cup, and here he is making regular appearances for the Phoenix Rising Football Club.
Kevon Lambert going to be the recipient of that little push forward now as Waldrop will sit a little bit deeper. We've seen Kevon and his anticipation going forward in transition, really nice to see, but now he's going to get an opportunity to play a little bit more forward right behind the 10 in Owako.
Well, as Patrice Carteron told us when he was in charge of Phoenix, that Kevon Lambert's best position is probably a bit more of an advanced central midfielder rather than a 6 is what he normally plays. It's probably in an 8 or a 10. And now it's going to be Christian Tieryoung coming on and replacing John Baccaro. So Baccaro, who did have an opportunity at the end of the first half to cut the deficit in half, getting replaced by Tieryoung, who had a very solid 2017 campaign with the Tulsa Roughnecks, and actually had an outstanding match right here at the Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex the last time these two teams met in the Valley. And the substitutes brought to you by Capriati's Sandwich Shop. Fanatically delicious subs. Through for Cortez, it'll find Jason Johnson. JJ can't quite find the feet of Chris Cortez. Waldrop, Owako, Solo, back for Owako, and Fabian Cerda with another great play.
That's top class from Fabian Cerda. Such a difficult play to read, and especially with all the pieces ever changing, and understands that his back line has been beaten once again, and the goalkeeper has no problem showing the confidence that we've seen all night long.
Asante. Oh, the header was there for Mike DeFont. Fans, keep up to date with all the best social media from around the league as Kelsey Steele hosts Off the Post every Friday through the league's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram feeds. Morton and Wakasa collide. It was Morton caught the worst end of it. So you could hear his scream of agony from our extremely well-placed crowd mics as Morton now turning over and grasping that right ankle.
Classy from Solomon Asante, and you saw Wakasa stepping in right away as well. The two of them just getting into a rough 50-50 challenge. Josh Morton catching the brunt of it, unfortunately. He's had a rough night, to say the least. It's got to be frustrating dealing with Solomon Asante, and then in transition, when they decide to switch it up, you got to track Jason Johnson.
And another substitution for David Vaudreuil, and it's going to be A.T. Tavares. Replace Francisco Ugarte. Tavares, the 24-year-old from Bissau Guinea. In his first season, spent some time with the Monarchs from 2015 to 2016. He actually was with Real Salt Lake, Arizona in his youth academy, and then transferred over to Arizona Western Matadors. So State 48, not unfamiliar to number 7 as Asante gets it over to Owako. Asante makes it look easy sometimes. Probably all the time. And a corner kick coming up for Phoenix. Corner kicks, as always, brought to you by our friends over at Carvana. Here's Mike Defano. It just flashes wide. It was his second free header in about 2 minutes. Then he knows he missed 2 golden opportunities to equal his center back pairing. Joseph Farrell goal total count for the year.
You said you'd like to see more consistency out of the back line and their ability to find the net on a regular basis. Mike Defano thought he had a dirty little secret he was going to share with everyone, getting another goal. Got to give credit to the distribution by Solomon Asante once again. All night long, we've seen him from set pieces. He's just getting better each and every game. And that's scary to think that that's probably one of the parts of his game that hasn't been that great in the opening matches. Again, taking over duties from Colin Fernandez. And he's been able to find all these guys in every pattern they're showing.
Asante. Oh, stop that. Oh, no. And Cortez is offside. That's just downright nasty. That can't be allowed.
And poor Chris is confused by all the moves by Solomon on the sideline. And again, just giving him some praise for his duties that he's been pulling in the set pieces. And Solomon just getting super dirty with it on the sideline, in and around every single player from Tulsa. And there just comes a time as a defender where you kind of cut your losses and just get out of the way. Embarrassing. I'm actually quite shocked that no one stepped up and tried to get in hard and go into a rough tackle with him.
They're already down a man. I mean, you can't.
You'll see a lot of frustration from that as a defender, though, as they'll step into those and they're just kind of over it. They don't care what the repercussions are.
Not everybody's Devin Kerr is going to go break somebody's ankles when they get embarrassed. If you got embarrassed during your career, which I can't imagine would be the case.
Break anybody's ankle, I shattered it.
Here's Kevon Lambert putting on the afterburners. Fabian Cerdo off of his line, takes down Lambert. It's got to be a card. It's just a matter of what color. It'll be mustard. Kevon Lambert, the Jamaican, writhing around in pain. Is that just a yellow card? I mean, for my money, that's a clear goal-scoring opportunity.
This is very questionable, and that is a rough challenge from Fabian Cerda, way outside of his box. The only argument that the referee's going to have here, and you're going to see it, he catches his entire leg. That's dangerous. And the only argument the referee's going to have here, outside of the fact that it's a goal-scoring opportunity, are the amount of people that were tracking back that could have gotten in the way. But even then, shocked that he doesn't show the red card in that situation. You have to wonder if there's any sort of sympathy floating around in our referee's head. Again, Michael Radchuk has had a pretty easy job here this evening, been pretty clear-cut, and all of the actions dictated by every single player. And here's some of the folks at Phoenix Rising getting involved in it from the fans as well. The Bandidos and La Friera Roja always willing to voice their opinion, and it's hard to argue with them that that should have been a red card.
Now let me ask you this. If Perez hadn't already been sent off and this game, for all intents and purposes, is out of reach in terms of a result, is that a red card?
It's difficult because, like I said, if I'm in the referee's shoes, I pull a red there. You're not supposed to carry sympathy. That's not how this game works.
But it's human nature. I mean, the referees aren't robots.
their job is to remove human nature. That's their position.
I
so
agree
their
with you.
inability
I'm
to
just
do
playing
their
devil's
job
advocate.
is why they they get put into these situations and they're constantly being questioned. Hence why VAR has somewhat made its way to the World Cup. Although,
how do you feel about it so far? See, for me, there's been a couple of plays so far. The penalty with France, I mean, a couple of them have been so 50-50 that sometimes you want just whatever the referee called initially, as we'll get back to that in a moment. So Wako straight into the wall. Tavares forgot something. Awako, now Asante, back for Awako. Gladson, another huge save from Fabian Cerda. He's been doing it all for Tulsa.
Super Solomon is just an absolute magician here. I feel bad for Gladson Awako that he hasn't been able to get a goal yet. I'm not a fan of VAR, start to finish. It's not something that I want in the game. I don't like how it slows it down. I think mistakes are part of the game. Even from a refereeing standpoint, you have to take the good with the bad. And you expect them to, like I said, quote unquote, remove the human element. I do, on the other hand, have sympathy. See what I did there? I do have sympathy for for the goal line technology, because you get situations like years ago where Thierry Henry gets to the end line versus Ireland, is well over the end line. They cut it back. France equalizes, or gets the, I don't remember if they equalized or got the game-winning goal, and they go through on the qualifier to the World Cup, and Ireland's out. Situations like that where a ball is 2-3 yards over the line, everybody in the stadium knows it, and yet it leads to such a game-changing decision. That's difficult. Now you can counteract my argument and say, oh, well, what if it wasn't a PK, because that's a game-changing decision and blah, blah, blah. But now you're talking about not necessarily overall sight, but it's angles. A third referee or the head referee who's caught out of position by 30 yards because they can't keep up with someone and the ball gets to the end line, they can't see it, as opposed to a ball that just comes over off someone's leg and they manage to get one of their studs hit his leg and he goes down, you point to the penalty mark.
And we can't forget the goal for Spain and for Isco that was called back. I mean,
one more for you. 2010 World Cup, an awesome
Lampard,
awesome Lampard's quarterfinal goal versus Germany.
Would have changed the whole complexion of that game.
Absolutely. So those are things where it's from a goal standpoint, I have, like I said, a little bit more sympathy for, but at the end of the day, I think in the grand scheme of things, it slows down the game, and it just, I don't like it. It disrupts the rhythm.
Fair enough. Tulsa on the move. Rivas met by a heavy challenge from Joseph Farrell, and it will be Mustard for the big center back. And we always knew that this game was going to start to get chippy, especially after how the first half ended. And that chippiness started to come to fruition.
Joe just gets caught out a little bit. And it's a foul by Joe Farrell because he gets in the way, and that's his third or fourth here this evening. That's why he's going to go into the book here. You have to wonder, actually, with about 12 minutes to go, and we talked about players getting a chance at maybe having a go here this evening, if maybe he might bring on the likes of a Luigi Mala, who we haven't seen in a while, and get Joe off the field because of the yellow card. Not necessarily saying you have to do that because the back line's been great, but it is a good opportunity for some guys to get a rep.
Ball back in. Amadou Dia does well defensively. Paris Guy. Not a bad ball in for a player who has 4 assists on the season. It's really been the Joaquin Rivas and Paris Guy show. And Kevon Frater, who was so excited to get on the field on Wednesday night that he basically fell over trying to sprint on. And he was going to replace Chris Cortez. Cortez with another goal tonight. 7th heaven on the season for the big man. And he comes off to another warm round of applause. here at the Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex. On comes Frater in the 80th, and the substitute brought to you by Capriati Sandwich Shop. Fanatically delicious subs.
And as we've said quite a few times this season for Chris Cortez, got Player of the Week back in two with his hat trick and his assist to Solomon Asante. Some delightful efforts from Cortez here this evening, and it's great to see. You know, you and I talked about their ability to get up and push that offensive firepower earlier on in the season, and we were so worried about the defense coming in and what was the back line going to be, and that was removed from the argument right away. And at the time of the formation change, the offense really clicked, but then defensively there were some questions. They've really done a good job balancing in the past 4 or 5 games.
Morton. And the long-range effort sent into the Banditos, who, of course, are one of the numerous outstanding support groups of Phoenix Rising FC, who continue to churn out great support all over the complex. And tonight's official attendance, 6,273. It is a sellout. And the sellout crowd, we've seen Jason Johnson sell out for his goal. Lambert gets a touch to it, and good work from Kevon Frater. And a throw-in coming up for Phoenix in the 82nd. One more substitution remaining for Rick Schatz on the night. Evan Waldrop and Kevon Frater. 2/3 of the substitute contingency thus far. Speaking of Waldrop, gets it over for Gladson Awako. Now it's Asante.
Going one-on-one, ball sprays back outside in the tackle. A lot of times you'll see a forward or an attacker or winger put their head down and the play's over, but he doesn't. He asks for it right away, and Frater has no problem giving it back to him. Asante has a dig from about 20 yards out, but that's the biggest thing, just confidence resonating throughout every single player right now on Phoenix Rising.
Johnson on the return from Frater. Showing off his strength, but good work from Josh Morton breaking up the play and dispossessing Kevon Lambert. Ball over the top. Tyryoung's going to be able to get there. Defended by Mike DeFont. Tyryoung whips it in. Joseph Farrell with an important clearance, and it falls right to the foot of Captain Solo. Bending it into the path of Kevon Frater, matched up with Levin. Kevon Frater being told to go at the defender, but Levin standing him up beautifully. However, it did come at a price. It just looked like Frater and Levin collided knees.
It's the second or third time we've seen Jonathan Levitt go to the ground here this evening. Our holding midfielder has been roughed up, to say the least. A lot of rough challenges all night long. Von Frater, you'd really like to see him get on the score sheet as well, because I've seen some concerning comments from him in the past, and he's just frustrated with his performance, maybe not necessarily getting all the efforts and reps that he's used to in the past. But he's come over here for a reason. He's got a great opportunity in front of him, and he can just stay the course. And remember that family is what's resonating throughout here, and that each action and motion are dictated for a certain reason and purpose. He'll find his way, and he'll get back on track.
Levin is in some pain and was having an argument with the athletic trainer for the Tulsa Roughnecks, and none other than Alessandro Rigi, the Canadian, will come on and replace Kevon Lambert. And Rigi will get an opportunity to perhaps provide the third and what would be final nail in the Tulsa coffin tonight. And the substitute brought to you by Capriati Sandwich Shop. Kevon Lambert running shop in the middle of the park. And gets a big embrace from Rick Schantz on the touchline.
Super sub Alessandro Rigi. We haven't even brought him forward yet. Good stuff from Fabian Serta. Able to remain positive in a situation like this. And Cody Wakasa, we thought he was going to throw it a little bit longer, but JJ gets the touch right off the near post. Actually don't mind the effort from Kavon Frater trying to go on goal. And we talked about building confidence. That's a good way to get started.
Asante, another great ball in. Farrell, it's Mike Defon again on the doorstep, but can't quite punch it home. The soccer gods letting Mike Defon know he might have to wait for his second goal of the season. Phoenix Rising fans, you can win 4 Phoenix Rising tickets just by watching Phoenix Rising on Your View Arizona. All you have to do is listen for the keyword and then enter it on social media, and you could win. Plus, all winners are entered to win the grand prize and all expenses paid trip to watch Phoenix Rising take on Las Vegas Lights FC on October 10th. Tonight's keyword, Johnson. Cleared away by Amadou Dia. The unofficial word right now from down on the field is 3 minutes of stoppage time at the end of the second half. Cervena. Tavares dispossessed. Amadou Dia with some great work to find Solomon Asante and plenty of room to play for Phoenix. Asante. And Kavon Frater couldn't go for it. He was offside. Rivas. Waldrop can't get there. Not a bad idea from Joshua Morton. He actually got the nutmeg through, but couldn't get on the end of it.
We've used the word sympathy a few times here this evening. And unfortunately, that is the word that Tulsa is going to have through their camp as they are just getting pounded in every direction. Super sub Alessandro Rigi comes on, and we've seen him do it time and time again, exposing left backs, exposing right backs. And there's a sight for sore eyes. Kavon Frater finally finding the back of the net.
Frater's first goal in the Phoenix Rising red and black. And you could see on his face, in his celebration in the corner with his teammates, a sigh of relief. But the unselfish play from Alessandro Rigi, as Carl Wazinski will handle it cleanly. It's now Rigi's 4th assist on the season. And Phoenix are looking for more. Tulsa are unraveling. Rigi still with it. Over for Frater. Maybe number 2 on the night. Serta has to get down at the near post. And it's changed to 1 minute of stoppage time. That's official from the 4th official. Waldrop. Frater, Cortez, and Johnson, the goal scorers on the night for Phoenix. And Evan Waldrop will get into the score sheet after all, shown mustard here in the 91st. Good ball in, the header. just wide of the near post. As Tulsa are looking for some sense of pride to take back to One Oak. And that's going to do it. Phoenix Rising Football Club with a dominant performance. Tulsa will reduce to 10 men at the end of the first half. Phoenix Rising get their third goal in the second. Jason Johnson with a goal that I will guarantee you will see on SportsCenter Top 10. And Phoenix, with 2 games at home this week, come away with 7 goals for, 0 against. It's 3 clean sheets in a row. And the good times keep on rolling at the Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex. Devin Curry, your thoughts?
Top to bottom, all around great performance from the boys in red here this evening. You saw everybody getting in on the act, and it's exactly the response you wanted to see from Rick Shantz and co. He obviously had them headed in the right direction. He's continued to be the man at the helm, and a solid 3 points for the boys in the Western Conference. Again, getting back on track, moving their way up the ladder.
They're now unbeaten in their last 5. They've won 4 out of their last 5. Phoenix Rising Football Club are currently feeling themselves. Final score from the desert, Phoenix 3, Tulsa 0. We'll be back in a moment with post-game.
If you just sign that first
I'm
one
so
there.
sorry. I don't feel comfortable signing that.
I don't get the math here.
Was this the same car we talked about?
What's this dealer preparation fee?
I'm so sorry. This just is not.
What we talked about.
Get the car without the car salesman. Carvana, the new way to buy a car.
Phoenix Rising FC and Didier Drogba are turning up the intensity this season. Join the action at Phoenix Rising Soccer Complex in Scottsdale and experience Arizona's highest level professional soccer. Don't miss Dollar Beer Night and watch Phoenix Rising battle Orange County Friday, June 29th at 7:30 p.m. Get your tickets at phxrisingfc.com. Phoenix Rising FC. Rising is one. Well, Furia Rohat enjoying themselves at the moment, and so is Kavan Frater. A new logo for the support group, and this team has found new life. A 3-0 win over the Tulsa Roughnecks, fresh off of a 4-0 win against Las Vegas Lights FC. They've won 4 out of their last 5. They're unbeaten in their last 5. And this side just doing everything right at the moment. Tyler Terrens along with the incomparable Devin Kerr. Devin, we'll take a look at the full-time highlights. And from the get-go, it was all Phoenix. The goal scoring didn't get started until the 39th minute, but once it did, they produced some really special goals.
Everything all night long was absolutely stupendous. And for me, though, for Tulsa, going the other direction, you had an opportunity to stay in this game, and you have to question the tactics by David Vajero, but nonetheless, Chris Cortez getting it going in the opening moments, right around the 35th minute, like you said, and they just continued to build from there. Obviously, Jason Johnson and his effort is going to be a ridiculous one for the ages. You can question over and over, but they gave them a bunch of different looks, much like the conversation that Rick Shantz had with us saying, you know, we like to use different formations so that tactically teams don't know what's coming in our direction. You constantly found Tulsa heading in the wrong direction, couldn't figure it out.
And then in the 43rd minute, have it. Jason Johnson, take a bow, son.
There's not too much else you can say about Jason Johnson and his ability to put this in the back of the net with the run of play to the near post. Everybody in the stadium knew that this was a special moment, and fortunately for them, those moments would continue. But this was the response I was talking about from Tulsa. Vaccaro has an opportunity here, and there's just no reason whatsoever. There was no reason on the first challenge, and this one, the second one by Perez, he's definitely not getting to this. Again, you expect better out of Vaccaro, but a good save by Waz, and there's no reason to get stuck in there, especially when you know that you're sitting on a yellow card.
So what could have been a goal for Tulsa turned into an absolute nightmare. and then Phoenix would start to have their way with them in the second half. They took their foot off the gas a little bit, but Solomon Asante, Jason Johnson, Chris Cortez would start to put a ton of pressure on Fabian Cerda, and full credit to the Chilean keeper who kept this a 2-goal game for as long as humanly possible.
And he's the only reason that it was as close as it was, like you said, Tyler, for as long as possible. But Solomon, he gets into these situations where he just looks like he's on skates, and he makes defenders look super silly. Josh Morton had his hands full all night long, did not have a lot of answers. Fabian Cerda did. He definitely passed the test, but unfortunately, one man does not make a full 11.
And then we would head into the late stages of this game. Alessandro Ricci coming on as a substitute, finding another substitute in Kevon Frater. And go ahead, Kevon. Go ahead and celebrate your first goal in a Phoenix Rising uniform. And it might have taken a while, and it might have taken until June 16th. But keep in mind, Tulsa are still looking for their first win. You got your first goal, and Alessandro Ricci setting it all up. And with the Phoenix Rising FC's win, you at home also win. Head to all Phoenix Rising social media accounts tonight to find out what the latest We Win, You Win deal will be. And the next game coming up for Phoenix Rising Football Club will be against RGV at HEB Park Saturday, June 23rd, 5:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time kickoff. Tyler Terrens along with Devin Kerr will be on the call. But go ahead, Phoenix fans, enjoy the night. You certainly deserved it. It was an unbelievable night of football. Tulsa Roughnecks have some work to do, but that's been the case the entire season. Chris Cortez, Jason Johnson, and Kevon Frater, your goal scorers. It's another 3 points for Phoenix. It's another goal-scoring bonanza for Rick Shantz's side as they have 5 matches unbeaten under their belt. For our entire crew and my broadcast partner, Devin Kerr, I'm Tyler Tanks, and so long for now. Phoenix 3, Tulsa 0. We'll talk to you soon.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.